Okay, what I want you to notice about the waistband is it has, once this is folded in half and stitched to the garment, it takes this wide of a strip to end up with this wide of a waistband, because this gets folded in half and it has 2 seam allowances. But the thing you need to remember, which I think is a little confusing, but maybe not for you, these notches, the double notches, that indicates the center back. Traditionally, double notches are associated with the back of a garment and single notches are associated with the front of a garment. So if you haven't taken pattern drafting, that's an easy way to read stuff. Double notches go in the back, single in the front. And so what this means is that when this skirt is sewn, that center back right here is going to be attached to this seam at the center back. Okay, right here. And then this is the side seam. It says side seam right there. This is the center front. So you have the center front, and then you have the right side, and you have the center back. And then the join, where the waistband would join to the skirt and open, is at the left side. Now this garment has an underlap. It's called an underlap and not an overlap. And what that means is where the waistband actually meets, you have to have a little more waistband so you can actually attach a hook and an eye. So if the waistband goes underneath the waistband that's on top, which is usually the way it is, although not always, this is called an underlap. And where the if you were to have a waistband where it went over the top like this, for maybe aesthetics or whatever you wanted, that would be called an overlap. Why are you grinning at me? Yeah. Okay, now I have to tell you, this lady paid me a huge amount of money one time to copy these shorts and make her a pair. I don't know, there was nothing special about them. But those shorts had an underlap and an overlap. I guess you want to make sure they stayed put. I don't know. But they did have an underlap with a couple of things here, and then it also had an overlap. So anyway, underneath, underlap obviously goes under, overlap goes on top, and you can have both, or you need to have one at least. Okay? So, so the way you're going to, after, you want to have your whole skirt sewn, you want to have your side seam, your center seam, and your zipper put in. In other words, the skirt should be in a cylinder before you attempt to attach the waistband. You kind of have to. I mean, it has to be, because the waistband is all one piece. So what you're going to do is, the other thing, which is a little bit confusing as well, this waistband has a right side and a wrong side. Obviously, this is the right side of the fabric, and this is the wrong side of the fabric. And it also has a front side and a back side, okay? The front side is the one that's going to face the world. The back side is the one that's going to be next to your body, all right? So what you are going to do is just fold your entire waistband in half after you've cut it. Then you're going to open it up, and you're going to stitch this stiffener. We're using a grosgrain or Petersham as the stiffener for this waistband. You're going to lay it in here so it's right next to the fold, and then you're going to stitch it. You're going to stitch it so it's right next to the fold. Okay? You're going to stitch it onto the outside. In other words, actually, this has the underlap. If you look at the notches, no, the underlap is over here. The underlap is on this side. This is where the seam is. So that means that if the underlap is on that side, let me see, it's going to wrap around this way. So this is the outside of the waistband. You have to figure out where the outside of the waistband is because the instructions for this technique, this class, have you attach the stiffener to the outside rather than the side closer to your body. So you need to determine where the underlap is so that you can sew this to the proper side. And then you're going to lay this down, and you're going to just stitch it, only stitch it really close to this top edge. If you want to look at this skirt, you can see inside on the very top that this is stitched very close to that folded edge. Okay? So that's how you're going to attach the stiffener. And you're going to have the stiffener run the length of the entire band and just stitch it on that one edge, okay? So I'm going to...
Pattern doesn't say underlap.
It doesn't say underlap, but it has a little notch here.
Oh, so
Where-
it's that extra one.
That is supposed to underlap. Well, actually, you can, yeah, it doesn't say underlap, does it? I think it's, well, you know what, it's a little confusing, but if you find the center, if you find the side and the center and the front,
Uh-huh.
well, actually, let's do it that way. Then we can figure out what's what here. Okay, side, center, to the center front, center back. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have the center front and the center back and the side. So actually, the underlap is pretty long. Well, there's a seam here, but the underlap is about an inch. Do you see that?
Yes.
Because these notches would match. It is confusing.
Right, so then we're sewing it on the underlap side. No, we're sewing it.
You're sewing the stiffener to the whole waistband.
Yes, I know that.
The
one
whole thing
thing
has a
is
stiffener.
seam.
You're trying to decide where the back and the front are?
No, I'm trying to decide when we sew the,
Stiffener
yeah.
in. You're trying to decide what? Which side is the outside facing the facing outside? Okay, you know what? I'm trying to figure that out too. Because I don't normally operate this way when I'm doing waistbands. So this is all new to me. I do lots and lots of waistbands, but I've never done this exact method. So I'm trying to figure it out too.
But when you sew the grosgrain in, you want and you're sewing and you have the grosgrain on top, you want that underside to be the inside of the waist, right? So that the stitch doesn't show up on the outside.
Correct. That is right. If you put it on the incorrect side of the waistband, of course, you know what you could.
You're gonna sew it on the long end.
You know what you could
You're gonna sew it on
do.
the half with the long end because that's the under.
But you know what you could do if you're really confused? Well, let me try to deconfuse you. But if you make a mistake, let me tell you what the fix would be. How's that? Because I could see myself. I mean, I wouldn't be able to have criminal minds on if I was doing this at home. It would not work. Okay, so we've decided that the underlap is this end where you have the little notch and then the long piece, right? This is where the seam allowance would be, where this little half-inch gizmo is. And then this would be, the underlap would be from here to here. It's about an inch, which is pretty much what it is on this. Okay, so if that means that the waistband is going to be this way, going around this way, right? Because this is going to be the underlap. So that means that the outside of the waistband is going to be here on this particular waistband. So I actually have mine attached to the wrong side. So I would have to go back up and do it this way. But what I'm trying to tell you is if you put it on the wrong side, you have a 50% chance of getting it right. If you put it on the wrong side, just go back then and remark. So if you have it on the wrong side and you realize that it's got to go this way so your edge stitching doesn't have to show, go back and remark it with this pattern so that you have the underlap at the right. You see what I'm saying? If you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. You have a 50% chance of getting it right. Does that make any of you feel better?
No.
No. All right, let's assume that we didn't start with any markings, okay? Let's assume that we just started this with a long rectangle that had no notches. And we folded it in half, and then we sewed it to, this is longer, I have to cut it. And we sewed it just like we're supposed to. We aligned this up near the fold of the fabric, and we top stitched, which I'm going to do in a minute. Okay? So it's here, let me get my pins. I'll get my pins. Actually, this is the way I do waistbands anyway. I start with a long strip, and then I figure out what I'm doing. Then I mark where I want to join it. That makes more sense to me. So let's say that I top stitched or edge stitched this on really close to the fold. And by really close to the fold, it means like, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch away at the most. You
Why
want
are you
it to be.
putting the pins that way?
I'm pretending this is my stitching, that I've stitched it. These pins are my machine stitching. And I'm going to go do this in a minute, and then I'm going to show you how to finish the ends. So,
What is it, a 1/4 inch in or something?
No, you'll be stitching about, the pins I'm making,
Yeah.
no, you'll be stitching about at most 1/8 of an inch in. More like a 1/16 if you can. I'll do that in a minute, but first I want to show you. And I'm going to stitch it and finish both ends of the band, and then I'll show you again what, it'll make it easier than trying to remember all of this. So let's say, I have my long rectangle. I pressed it in half. Now I'm stitching the ribbon. Pretend that those are my stitches, okay? So now I definitely have chosen a side to put the ribbon on, right? The ribbon is supposed to be on the back side, obviously, because you have the stitches that show now on the wrong side. So I have that on the back side of my waistband, which means that the ribbon side of the band is going to be next to my body, okay? The ribbon side of this band is now going to be next to my body. That means, because the opening is on the left side, and obviously I don't have a 26-inch waist, that means that the underlap is going to be over here, okay? And then this is going to just come right to the, okay? So knowing that the underlap is here, I can now take the pattern, and knowing that the underlap is this side, I can now take my pattern and lay it here and mark where the center back is and the center back and all that, okay? If you put it on the wrong side. Does that make sense to any of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go sew this. I'm going to show you how to finish the ends of the band, and then I will show you how to join it to the skirt. Yes?
Did you do a demo for attaching it and zip?
For attaching, I'm having the time.
I didn't see that.
For making the zipper.
Right.
The last time we had class, I was showing everybody how to sew the seams and make the lines match exactly. I didn't do that. I didn't do the zipper. I was going to do the zipper today because I thought some people might need. I was under the impression that several of you needed me to go over the zipper a second time. So I was going to go over the zipper today with people who needed help with the zipper. So that they made sure they did all the steps. And then this will go on. And next week we will do the hem and the hook and eye. Because bias garments have to hang. That's so crucial with this.